So once I was contemplating what is that exact reason that you people are not able to be consistent. I'm not really targeting that you are not fluent in English, but I'm saying that you are not able to be consistent. Because if you're not consistent, then how will you be speaking fluently? The first thing you need to understand this is you keep talking about being fluent or being flawless and such other stuffs you keep talking about, but you don't know the definition of it. Being fluent doesn't mean that you will occasionally be speaking or you will occasionally be fluent in English. That is also all right, because initially or at the beginning it's fine to be fluent occasionally, but you need to understand that you cannot escape from few things or few opportunities that you're getting. You have to speak everywhere, wherever it is necessary to speak or you feel like speaking. But the fact I'm talking here, or I'm going to speak in this video, is you have multiple methods. You also know it very well. If we talk about reading, that works. If we talk about listening to something, that works. And it really gives you fluency and it really helps you to sound fluent. Then if I talk about reading, I said listening to. Okay. Then third, if I say speaking to something or you speak with something, somebody, sorry. So you don't really do that, because I know whenever I ask someone that speak, when I push them to speak, so what do they say? That I'm not getting, I'm blank and such other stuffs again keep going on in your head. And ultimately you don't speak. You think that you need to gather so much things in your head and then only you will be speaking, because you are waiting for a perfect time, and that will never come. That will never ever come. Okay, because there is nothing as such perfect. Again, now fourth, I'm missing something, I guess. Reading, I said. Sorry for that. Reading, listening, speaking and writing. Yeah, so writing, I would connect it in a manner that if you think that grammar structures, if I talk about rules you have, that how to use. Okay, that was, I was just teaching, or I have been teaching this lately, so that is in my head. Suppose if I talk about something like get, how to use get, make, or let in your sentences. So these are the rules sometimes you need to learn, because you don't know how to speak it. It might be sounding so simple to you, but if you go or if you look for its variations, so you have so many stuffs. Now you might be thinking that why am I speaking so much of things? However, the title is somewhere around this movies and all. So you will get to know the answer. But again, I'm repeating one more line here. There are multiple methods, and if particularly I talk about this speaking method, then you have this mirror practice and then imitation one, that means shadowing technique. So many methods and ways are there to be fluent, but the fact is you're not able to be consistent. That was my point, and for that I gave you this much of lecture. So you're not able to be consistent because you don't find it interesting, you don't enjoy doing it, and that is one thing really pulling you away. And to find it or to find it interesting, you have to look for the things that you can connect it with fun, you can connect it with something that you will never get bored of. You will have to do all those things, otherwise you will give up soon. And this is what English wants from you. This is, I think, everything wants from you, that you don't give up on something. So as soon as you give up on something, you don't feel like starting it again. So here in this video, I'm going to talk about that, how movies can actually help you speaking in English. And see, when you watch movies, so you do so many things. So I'll be discussing each and every point that the mistakes you do while watching. Although I'm not really fond of watching movies, but these days I have developed interests, I would really say, because if you watch some of my previous videos, so there I used to say that I'm not fond of movies. So I have always suggested you guys for animated stories or some speeches and all. But recently, I would say, or yeah, three or four movies I've watched. The first was Cinderella, then The Beauty and Beast, if I'm not wrong with the title of this movie. The third I loved, means it was such a great movie I ever watched, was Maleficent, because my genre is something I like, fairy and animated stories and all, and something like love stories. Horror also, though I like, but it's not from Hollywood, it's from the Bollywood, the horror plus comedy. But okay, that is not about my interest, but particularly for English, so these things you should also prefer. Now, okay, let me just get into the video directly, and I hope you know me and I don't need to introduce myself, but let me do the formality. So hi everyone, this is Tanya, your ESL coach, and in this video I'm going to talk about that how movies can actually make you speak English, how it can actually make you fluent. And definitely I'll be adding some repeated ways, like shadowing and some other techniques. But the biggest thing I'm going to do in this video is I'll make you realize your mistakes you do while you try learning English or you try speaking English through movies. All right, so yeah, the things I observed when I was watching movies, because I did not used to watch. So the first thing you do is you try to understand the stories. Okay, let me get just diving right into the video now. The first thing you do is you try watching the movies. You are there to watch the movies, but you try understanding it. You try to understand the story and you are good to go, because you think that, okay, what's the need of doing that? You do formality there. What my point is, you try to do it like a formality, that I am watching and after a few days I'll be able to enhance my fluency or I'll be able to speak better. So you are waiting for a time for which you are not even working really. You are understanding the story. You are getting the idea that what is happening, what are those characters, and how it started, how it ended. But you have to have something with you. You have to be ready with few things. The first thing is, just take out the time. Just ask yourself that whether you are able to give that movie 2 or 3 hours or not. Depends upon the duration of the movie. Are you ready enough? Because then I realized I was not really watching for that it would improve my English or what, but I was interested and I thought of giving it a try, because earlier I was not. So then I realized that I did not watch that video entirely for 2 hours. Okay, Cinderella was something, and that was of 3 hours long video, and I completed entirely 3 hours I gave to that. Means I ate, means I had my dinner and I did some of my work, and meanwhile I was watching that video. So hence in this way I gave 3 hours to that movie. But then I watched 2 or 3 videos more. There I was watching that in bits and pieces, and it's a very, very wrong way to do that, because you need to ask yourself that, are you ready for this video? And if you are, then focus on that, as if it's really, you're really there to learn something. Because if you watch a movie for just for your entertainment purpose, the way I was doing, because I was eating and I was doing some other work and I was just hearing to the story what's happening, so this is a mistake. I consider that this is my mistake too, but I'm suggesting you that this is something you don't have to do, because you are not there to understand the story only. Understanding story is the fun part that keeps you addicted to that movie, or that helps you not to go away or not to get distracted. This is the fun part of that movie. But the main fact is there that you are there to learn English. First you have to set your mind up in a manner that I am here, I'm watching this movie. If I'm giving my 1.5 hours to 3 hours to a movie, so that is for my English fluency. The second thing you have to do is you have to get ready with your notebook, because you have to write few of the words. Now again, I don't suggest that if you're watching a movie through your mobile phone, through your laptop, so you have to have another device. Not necessarily I'm mentioning that, but this is also a choice. You can do that, because I prefer, if I come across any new word, so I prefer checking it then and there. But if this does not work in your case, then bring a notebook with you and write some of the words there. Write it and then keep it, that after some time you'll be doing that. But if you create 100 of words there in your notebook, and then you think that after completing or after the completion of this movie I will search meanings and then I will make notes, so I think 100 is not a good idea really. Because sometimes some words are you think that you can understand it just by searching its meaning somewhere, and it's easy, or it seems easier to you, then you do it right then. But you think that no, I need to make lots of sentences. For example, there is a word sophisticated. So sophisticated is not a word that you go to Google and you search its meaning, you get it into your own language, and you think that you are good to go and you are good to use or in your natural conversation. So I don't think so it's possible. So there are some words, some tough words you think you have to make, or you will have to make lots of sentences, so you write it there somewhere in your notebook. That is one thing you have to do. Now while watching the movie, there are some lines. Okay, there was a line in Maleficent, but I'm not recalling at this moment. It was a very good way to miss the princess, or The girl, she was asking that fairy that will you give me away or something. Yeah, that was a line. Will you give me away means she wanted to get married with the guy, and then she was using these phrases, and she used one more phrase. So that was sounding so beautiful, so attractive. So what I want to tell here is that you have to imitate too. Again, I'm bringing the part of shadowing, that yes, you have to perform the shadowing method as well. Apart from writing the you're not there for vocabulary only, right? Because you are there for your overall improvement. So you have to speak, that means you have to imitate, you have to perform that shadowing method. And now I'm not going to tell you again what is shadowing exactly, because if someone is watching this video, so I think you have searched enough, you have watched enough, you have preached, you have got preached enough by others, so I'm not going to speak that again. So yeah, shadowing is something that will make you speak. Vocabulary and phrases, I don't know why you people keep looking for this vocabulary and words part. Why don't you understand that phrases and some structures, some rules, some way of saying these are equally important? When I started learning, or when I entered in this world, or this journey, so I understood one thing, that not every sentence and not every conversation, natural conversation of yours could be based on some of the grammar rules really. I may make another video on it, okay, because I find this topic very interesting. Sometimes, okay, I give you one example. If I say that this will bring you confidence, or if I say that this doesn't gain you weight, this doesn't gain you weight, so there is nothing else. Somebody think that I'm speaking a wrong English, but it's not a wrong English, it's perfectly right. And what if I say that he got me a new dress, he got me a new dress? Do you really think that you can understand it by a rule or by a structure that you can follow everywhere? So I am using it in a manner that is not really understandable to the people who are hearing it for the first time. You just imagine that he got me a new dress. Instead of that, you people would be preferring that he bought a new dress for me, right? But what I said, he got me a new dress. My parents will get me some new stuffs. So these are the things, and some, I call it that these are the way of speaking. And you cannot really get it from any grammar books or something. You need to do it, you need to learn it, you need to hear it and pass it. You need to hear and speak it, practice it, test yourself that whether you are able to speak in that way or not. So yeah, I repeat, you must have a notebook where you can write some of the important things you want to write and you think that you did not understand, and something if there is that you should search it then and there in Google, then do that as well if you have two devices provided. Now shadowing is something that you are supposed to do, and it should not be your option, because I was into a session where I found a person, it's not a first time, it keeps happening with me, and I keep observing others. When I feel so bad when I see a person is very good at grammar, he has knowledge of all the grammar rules. When I give him or her sentences that make this way, make that way, use this structure, use this rule, Hindi to English translations, they make it so perfect. But when it comes to speaking, they lag behind, or they don't want to speak, they feel shy, they fumble. And why these things happen? Because you're not into that. And on the flip side, when I observe a person who would not be so good at grammar really, or when I ask, or he makes mistakes like does, do, and have a normal mistakes he makes, but he's speaking more than you, more than the person who has better knowledge at grammar. So these differences are there, and this I'm not saying that this is so bad or you are in such a pathetic situation. I'm not saying as such, but what I'm saying is you have to let the things come out. Whenever you must have heard these two examples that I'm going to give you from many people when they talk about that rolling a chapati and riding a bike and learning English. These three are same, because rolling a chapati, no matter how much I ask you that make dough this way or add this much of water, and then riding a bike, then I'm not aware with the terms that people use, because I don't know riding, driving, anything, but the way the things that you use there, and the way you hold the things, where you have to look, what you have to press, so these things are there. And same as English, that no matter how much I tell you or anybody tells you that you have to do this, you have to read this, grammar is not so important, speak more, you are not able to do it because you're not practicing, you're not gaining your own experience. So what do you think? Right now I'm speaking all these things, I always talk about that, do this and that, write vocabulary, make sentences. From where did I get experiences? I might have watched someone's videos also when I was in my initial stage. I might have also done few things. Then I started recognizing what is working with me, what is not working with me. But one thing I never gave up on was speaking. I kept on speaking, and see, I know that not everyone is same, not everyone's IQ is same, and I'm not even pointing out that my IQ is okay, you get it already. So what I am saying here is that you should never give up on speaking. And I, as I said, that I used to imagine a lot, I still imagine. So even if I have to learn German now as a next target of mine, I would be imagining the things in German. So this is what you get in, or this is what you just put inside your nerves, and this is what you start feeling. I repeat one more line that I always repeat, or I usually repeat, and that is yours. That it's about learning for sure, but it's also about feeling it. Ask one more question to yourself, that do you really feel this language? As I don't know I have ever given this example or not. Just think of any object around you, think of any object, or imagine any object around you, and then look for its name. So then you think that what name is coming in your head. Like I remember that back then I gave you example of pen. So now if you think of pen, जब हम पेन के बारे में सोचते हैं, तो do you really think कि नहीं मुझे कलम चाहिए, कलम किधर रखा है? You don't say that because you're not habitual of that. I just remember that, recalled that example, so I said that there could be so many examples of that. I'm just taking the basic one. So you think of pen because you speak pen, you don't speak kalam, even if it's your Hindi language or it's your mother tongue or it's your basic first language. So that is what you have to do, you have to feel it. Now the point comes here, what to watch. The most important thing you have to do is you should never watch, or you must never watch without subtitles when you're starting it. Without subtitles, you won't be able to understand. You know very well that how native speakers speak. They speak so fast, you don't even understand that, and they mix up the words. There was a reel I was watching. So it was 1920, people would be speaking, what do you do? And then era changed and it was 1940 or 1950 around, what do you do? And then what do you do? And then what it was funny that there would be no sigh left. There would be no breath left, will be left, and people would be speaking in this way. So I want to say that they speak so fast and you cannot really cope up with them. So for that, you need to have that subtitles so that you can easily write it somewhere, the words and whatever, and you could read meanwhile. They are speaking, and then you are observing also how are they speaking. So the important part here is that you must have a subtitle for that video, what you're movie that you're watching. And my personal suggestion would be that go with cartoons, Disney. I know that boys, you won't be interested in that fairy and all, but there Kung Fu Panda, if I'm not wrong. So I also watched that movie half, but for some reason I left, and when I left, so I lost the interest. But it's not that the movie was not interesting, it was so good, but once my flow was broken, so I didn't want to watch that again. So Kung Fu Panda, if you want, this is my personal suggestion, because people watch this Chhota Bheem also. One of my learners was telling me this, that she started to watch Chhota Bheem, or Doraemon was not really in good tone, as she said, but Indumati and also someone was mimicked that in Hindi tone or Hindi accent, so she liked that. So these are my personal suggestions. Otherwise, it's your choice. If you feel like watching some action, science fiction from Hollywood, you can go ahead with that, because animated ones, they have I'm not saying that they speak normal one, but for some reason it's attractive. It's more attractive than any other movies. So that is what you can prefer. Now, let me think if I'm leaving anything. Yeah, I recalled. So now the point comes, or the question arises, that what to watch or what movies you should prefer. As I already gave you few examples, but there is one more section I have seen in Telegram. Something is called like Friends. Friends is there. I'm not sure about what is it, but someone just sent me a link back then. I opened that, so a person was doing some kind of comedy, and for some reason people like it. So what I have heard from others, I'm telling you guys, and if people talk about this, then it must be effective. That is one thing you need to understand, because you keep doing it and you don't understand whether it will give you any kind of outcomes or not. So yes, it is effective, that Friends. I have not felt it, I'm honestly telling you. I have not really tried it. I just watched few of the clips. That does not make sense really, but you can try this. This one is good. Now you should join a Telegram channel, or if you have any connection with any of your friends who do this, so they have better knowledge at it, and you can do it. You can go ahead with. You can ask them to do that, because there are movies like some Bollywood movies. Recently I asked someone for first part of, no, second part of Stree. I watched that for someone else, so they downloaded that from Telegram and then they sent to me. So you can also do the same thing. You ask, you seek suggestions or help from your friends, and they would help you. Or if not, then search for any good channel in Telegram and then watch from there. And as I said, that don't try to watch without subtitles. All right, this is what I had to say, or I had to talk about in this video. One thing I'm really happy to share, I did not take any cut in this video really, because I was in the mood of speaking. There was just one cut when I said that what I'm leaving, or am I leaving something, or there's any point I missed. I said something like that. So there I took just one cut, and I spoke without any multiple takes, or I did not take any retake or something, or there was no cut, even just one. So that is negligible, because I was definitely thinking that what I have to speak next. Because when you speak something and you think that someone is listening to you, then you think of having some good points so that it could be productive for the people who are listening to you. Okay, now you might be thinking that why am I mentioning this point, that I did not take cuts in this video. The fact is, you have to enjoy speaking this language, in this language. And when you enjoy speaking in this language, then you don't feel like reaching to its end point. You don't feel like ending it abruptly, or you are not in a rush to finish your conversation. And that is when you realize that yes, this language, this English language, is really giving me happiness, and I'm enjoying it, I'm loving it. I want to speak more and more, because if you ask me to speak this much in my Hindi language, I will never be speaking, because I'm not that type of person. Nowadays I've started speaking too much because of the classes, but I don't really like speaking unnecessarily. So but yeah, this is just because this is my love, this language I really love, so I enjoy speaking in this language, and I feel so great. I feel that it's something that I'm doing so great. But okay, that's what I was just personally saying few things, and just keep doing that, okay, and try it. Okay, now I would conclude it with one more thing. At the beginning, as I said, that you are not able to be consistent. So mind it, write it somewhere, and follow it too. That this is true, you're not able to be consistent. So you have to connect your fun activities, your fun, your enjoyment, your entertainment with your learning. Because if you think that no, I don't have time to learn this language, I'm so much busy, I'm swamped, and when will I get time? Oh my god, man or girl, you don't have to take some extra time out for this language. You have to include English in your life, in all your activities. So why do you think that you will have to take some extra time out and then you will be learning this language? It does not work like this. I have given you so many examples of mine. I never used to take really that extra time for myself. Yes, one thing I accept, that when you learn vocabulary, when you learn few of the structures, then you have to sit at a place and then you keep making sentences and you keep learning it. That is all right. But if you think that every time you have to give, no, when you talk to yourself, you talk to your friends, there are so many exposures you have nowadays. You use social media. So why don't you follow the channels? Why don't you follow the pages that give you that similar kind of content? You are on YouTube. Right now you're watching my video. What's your next target after this? Just ask yourself, right? Are you going to watch something irrelevant of this? You don't have to make again yourself a lunatic one while doing this, that you are sleeping with English or you're waking up with English. But somewhere, or it may bother you for a while, but sometimes it, yes, it does become, you ask this thing to people, sometimes it becomes this way to them, that they sleep with English and they wake up with English. So it's all about your dedication. It's all about why do you want it. And I asked a person, I won't take name of him, I'm praising him, okay, there is no criticism or nothing as such. So I asked him, what do you like doing in your free time? He said, I don't really remember his lines, but he said that I love speaking in this language, or I learn new vocabulary, he said. But I don't appreciate this thing that you learn new vocabulary only without speaking. But he said something, so he wanted to say basically that he loves this language. And when you start loving it, you start enjoying it, you will not get bored, you will be consistent in it. So consistency, I'm highlighting this word again and again. Okay, do that, and do share me your feedbacks, guys. Thank you so much if you really adhered to me till now. Now see you soon in the next video. Till then, bye bye.